Good evening and welcome to the November 19th meeting of the Lake Forest City Council. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Honorable James Cowhey.
Here.
Alderman Novit.
Here.
Alderman Waldeck. Here. Alderman Moore.
Here.
Alderman Pandaleon.
Here.
Alderman Schoenheider.
Here.
Alderman Tack.
Here.
Alderman Palmer.
Here.
Alderman Adelman absent. 8 present, 1 absent. Mr. Mayor, we have a quorum.
Thank you, Bertie. Will you please join me in a pledge of allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our first order of business this evening is comments by mayor. I do have 2 quick comments. The first being I would like to just point out to the public that I received in the mail this weekend a write-up from IIT, which is Chicago Kent College of Law, and it's from called the Center for Open Government, and this is a nice little bonus to the city of Lake Forest. What they did is they're going around for community to community and doing kind of an audit of the community's Transparency and Open Meetings Act and Freedom of Information Act accessibility and compliance with those laws. And they actually sent even a student from the Kent College of Law here to the November 5th meeting and audited us during the council meeting as well. And they gave me a very nice write-up here, quite lengthy and very detailed, and that we got a stellar response from them and as far as our compliance. So I want to thank certainly the city manager and the staff, Karina and Susan Banks, Bertie, and the whole group that puts all the information out and keeps it out, and then also the obviously the council and the rest of us, as we are conducting our business in a very transparent, open way. So that was a nice little compliment. It was unsolicited and well-deserved. So that was nice to hear. Another good part of news I had this weekend was I got a call from our fellow community mayor, Jess Ray of Matawa, and this is probably good news right after we just went through our initial finance committee meeting here and a budget coming up for next year. But the good news is that we're going to see a bonus of about $300,000 back to us, and this goes back to our agreement where we share sales tax revenue on the Oasis over 294 with Matawa and the city of Lake Forest. And we've been, both towns have been trying to get information from the state of Illinois now for about the past 3 years. And delightfully, we finally got an answer, and it looks like, again, that's a nice $300,000 bonus. So it's actually money that was due us, but it's nice that we also get it back from the state, because that's pretty tough to do these days as well.
Not so easy to do.
Not so easy to do. So that was a nice, good bit of news. Those conclude my comments this evening, and Bob, the next is comments by city manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. My dollar amount isn't quite as large as the mayor's dollar amount, but we also did receive a check actually from Sprint today for some back fees and charges they owed us for the water tower that we've been haggling with them for probably 6+ months. So we finally linked with the Mark Christie from Vic and the finance staff, and we finally got that check. So it's been a good week in terms of getting some back dollars to us collected right before the holidays. The other thing I did want to say is thank you to the council for hanging with us during the budget meeting earlier this evening. At the risk of scaring anybody off that's watching at home and thinking of being an alderman, I think you had some 350 pages of documents to read over the last week in preparation for the capital improvement budget. This is its official start of our budget for FY14, which starts on May 1st, and we are, as I think I indicated in the article that was in the Lake Forest this past week, we are in good financial shape, but we still have challenges like everybody else. And while they're not immediately at our doorstep, they are on the horizon, and the hard work that you all put in this evening and coming up in the budget will certainly help us maintain that strong financial position that we've been in. So thank you for your efforts this evening. And all you got for it was like a tuna sandwich and a couple of chocolate chip cookies too. So that completes my report for this evening.
But they're good cookies, so.
Yeah,
Thank you, Bob. Our next item on the agenda this evening is comments by council members, the first being the Finance Committee report. Alderman Pandaleon.
Thank you. The first thing on our Finance Committee report is a brief presentation by the Gorton Commission. Mark Ventling is going to give us a little background on activities at Gorton.
Thank you, Mayor Cowhey and members of the council, for inviting Gorton here to present the 2013 budget. I promise to be brief. I know you've been here for a while. I want to first, though, thank the city for the use of the Gorton building and for keeping it up. It's obviously critical to us because it's our home. Gorton operates with a very small staff of paid staff, so we rely on volunteers, interns, members of auxiliary boards, and members of the main board and commission to volunteer their time and talents. So thank you to those people. And also to the hundreds of people who donate money to Gorton every year. It's absolutely critical to our success. And I have to put in a little plug that we have our November appeal letters in the mail now, or you can also go to our website at gortoncenter.org if you wish to make a donation. And last but not least, to the thousands who use our services and really make us a true community center. And the key takeaway from this slide, other than the thank you, is that all four of these elements are necessary and critical for Gorton's success. We couldn't really be successful without all of them. So 2012, we continue to make good progress. Our cash balance is up. It probably won't be that high at year end because of some timing differences on invoices. But our revenues from operations are up this year about 7%. And when we talk about operations, that's really our services. Things like the drop-in center, lease space for nonprofits, all of our programs, classes, events, performing arts, that's what we classify as operations. And so that's up. Our loss this year from operations is down about a third to about $52,000. We expect that we'll continue to lose money providing services. That's kind of the nature of the beast of a community service center. Speaking of beast, and I say that with affection, we're in a beautiful, wonderful, historic building that's unfortunately was last renovated about 12 years ago, and it's starting to show its age, and unfortunately our infrastructure is starting to fail. So we're starting to do a detailed review of our capital expenditure needs in the next 10 years. And the numbers you'll see on the next page, it's important to note that they essentially include very little capital expenditures. We've pretty much been operating only on an emergency basis the last several years. So if you look at the budget for next year, you'll see that we do expect continued improvement in the top section, which is our, again, our services, more revenue and a smaller loss. You can also see in the middle section how critical fundraising is for Gorton. And 2011 was a bit of an anomaly because we had some very generous donations when we were reborn, in a sense. And in 2012 and 2013, the numbers are conservatively forecasted and budgeted because we don't want to get ahead of ourselves in spending money that we plan to raise and then don't. So if you go to the bottom and look, the 2 years, 2012, 2013, average that, call it $125,000 in net income or cash flow, if you will. Our current estimate is that over the next 10 years, we'll need about $120,000 in spending for capital improvements, pretty much just to maintain status quo. And that is not on the exterior of the building, it's just interior infrastructure, decorating, furniture, that sort of thing, some technology. So if you look at the 125,000 and you compare that to the 120, you realize that there's not really a lot of cushion there for bad fundraising year or unforeseen expenses. And we also don't have much left over to invest in that top section, which is really our services, our operations. So we still have some work ahead of us. 2013, our first goal is to improve our fundraising results. Blair Nagel and the board have implemented some structural changes, and we're also hiring a part-time director of development to assist us. As I mentioned, we need to restart investments in our capital infrastructure. We hope to offer more programs and events, and at the same time maintain the numbers. So that concludes my presentation about the budget. Are there any questions?
Any questions? I'd like to make an observation, just for the record. If you had gone back 2 more years and done a 5-year look instead of just the last 3, it would have been much more apparent what a dramatic turnaround this is. I mean, this is the notion that Gorton would have approximately $900,000 in the bank 3 years after what we confronted in 2010 is really, really impressive. And I mean, it's to your credit. Nice job.
It's a very large group
I would
effort.
just echo the same comment. I mean, I think a few years ago, I think there was a fear in the community that we were going to lose Gorton altogether, and it's a remarkable success story, and I know that it came from a lot of hard work from a lot of individuals, and Mark and the whole staff, and Bob Kiley and the group you put together with, I know George was there as well, but it's a great success, and I know we have to figure out how to share some of the costs going forward. As we know, there's infrastructure there that the city owns, and I'm confident we'll figure that out. So the next one is, that's right.
Yeah, next.
So,
Yeah.
Stay tuned.
so, do I go on this one?
So, yeah, the next item on our agenda is a request for Gorton for funding to replace a broken heat exchanger, so.
So, we have a cracked heat exchanger in one of our 17, I believe it is, rooftop units, and they're all about 12 years old, the same age, Dan, so they're approaching the end of their useful lives, and unfortunately, of course, heating systems tend to break in the heating season, and this one in particular serves the drop-in center. Unfortunately, it's also located in a really inconvenient location that will require a crane to remove and replace. So it's a huge expenditure for us. It would represent about a quarter of our cash flow. So we're requesting that the city reimburse Gorton
And the round numbers,
$30,000.
it's about $30,000, so. And I think, just to put a little bit of a cover on it, this is, because Gorton's been in survival and sort of restructuring mode, identifying these kinds of issues and budgeting for them ahead of time really was not practical over the last couple of years, and I think the effort's going to be made to get this under control going forward, but you can't have carbon monoxide going into the drop-in center. So is this something, yeah, I would entertain a motion to approve.
And motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
We need a,
Aye?
we need a roll call vote on
Any,
that.
I'm sorry, roll call, okay.
Alderman Novit.
Aye.
Alderman Waldeck. Alderman Pandaleon.
Aye.
Alderman Moore.
Aye.
Alderman Schoenheider.
Aye.
Alderman Tack.
Aye.
Alderman Palmer.
Aye.
7 yeas, no nays, motion carries.
Thank you, Mark. The next item on the agenda for the Finance Committee proceedings is consideration of an ordinance establishing the tax levy for 2012. This is a first reading. And it says that I'm going to present this, but I'm going to defer to Elizabeth Holub, the Finance Director.
Thank you, Chairman Pandaleon. We introduced this item November 5th with the estimated tax levy Today before the City Council is the first reading of the formal tax levy ordinance. These schedules were presented on the November 5th agenda, so I'm going to run through them fairly quickly, but just as a reminder, we start out with estimated assessed valuations from the county, put those into the formulas for the tax cap for the limiting factors and the tax levy calculation under the tax cap for the city for the 2012 tax levy. Based on the estimated assessed valuation by the county of new construction, as well as the estimated assessed valuation for the Westlake Forest Tax Increment Financing District, which expires this year and will be returned to the city's tax rolls for the first time with the 2012 tax levy. There is an estimated tax extension of $582,000 that is added this year that is included in the tax levy, but does not impact the average homeowner's tax levy because it is simply included as new growth. So when we calculated the estimated tax levy amount, the aggregate levy estimate was a 105.44% increase over the extended levy for last year. That was made up of a 3% increase for the tax cap, a 2.2% increase representing the TIF district, and a 0.24% increase for new construction. On the next slide, which is attachment 2 in the packet, we take the individual line items of the tax levy, put those into the formula. I would just draw your attention to the line item that is circled in red, which is the total tax levy before the new growth and allowances for the line items that are excluded under the tax cap, which shows that the tax levy before those line items are a 2.63% increase over the extended levy for the prior year. And then you have the 3 items added to that, which is the 2 excluded items under the tax cap, the portion of the fire pension levy excluded under Public Act 930893, and the special recreation levy, and then the $582,000 estimate added for the TIF increment and the new construction. With the total amount, with the new construction added, a 4.81% increase. The distribution of growth is added to the general fund levy and the library levy in a proportion, just on a prorated basis based on the prior year's extended levy. The next attachment 3 just adds the new construction amount into the line items and just adds those to the general fund line item and the library line item. And then attachment 4 shows the impact of the proposed levy on an average homeowner using the estimated assessed valuation provided by the county, which is an average decrease projected of decrease of 7.6%. We use an average home market value of $800,000 last year, would be a average home market value this year of $739,200. Obviously, everyone will not follow the average. Those increases and decreases will fluctuate from property to property, but based on the averages, we calculate an average estimated equalized assessed valuation, which is 1/3 of market value, calculate an estimated tax rate based on the proposed levy, which would be an increase of 1.035 to 1.147, which shows that the average existing home would increase by $66 or 2.41% under the proposed levy. This would be based on both the city and library portion of the tax bill only. The city currently represents 19.3% and the library represents 3%, so that $66 would be on 22.3% of the current tax bill. Finally, this slide just takes all of those schedules and summarizes them into the tax levy ordinance line items. These are the line items that are represented on the tax bill. Shows the proposed 2012 tax levy compared to the 2011 extension. Again, you see the 4.81% adjustment. This tax levy ordinance is included in your packet. This is just a summary of those line items. Because the school district 67 operates under a charter, it must be included in the city's tax levy ordinance, so we have their estimated tax levy included in the proposed tax levy ordinance. They are going through the same process that we are. Their estimated levy is a 5.75% adjustment. They too have the same effect of the TIF district rolling off, so that again is why their adjustment is also high, because they have the same increment added into their levy, similar to ours because of the TIF expiration, with the grand total of the two combined for an adjustment of 5.30%. So today we are just recommending that the City Council grant first reading of the levy ordinance. November 22nd and 29th, we're publishing notices in the News Sun and Lake Forester of the public hearing on the tax levy, which will be conducted on December 3rd, after which the City Council will also consider second reading and approval of the tax levy ordinance. And December 21st is the county's deadline for filing the 2012 tax levy ordinance. I'll be happy to address any questions.
Quick one, the other taxing bodies, Lake County Park District, College of Lake County, they're not listed in here, but.
High school.
High school is, right? Oh, no.
No,
high
that's
school.
District
only
67. That's the big one.
115 will be separate. They'll all approve their own individual ordinances and submit those separately to the county. 67 is only included in the cities because of the charter.
Oh, okay. So we can only look at our average of 5.3, these two taxing bodies, and not the rest.
Right.
And
So they
okay.
will go through their own individual processes and file their own adopted tax levies with the county under separate processes.
So we combine with 67, but they run their own show, right? We
Right.
can't- So we're only accountable to the 4.81%.
Correct.
Thank you. I just didn't understand it all.
Other questions? I'd entertain a motion to approve.
And motion to approve first reading of the tax levy ordinance.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the motion passes. Thank you. The next item on our agenda is also going to be presented by Elizabeth Holub. It's the abating of 2012 tax levies for various general obligation alternate revenue bond issues. And this would be first reading.
Next item is related to the debt service component of the property tax levy. The city issues general obligation bonds. A portion of those general obligation bonds are paid by alternate revenue sources, specifically cemetery, golf course, water, and 0.5% home rule sales tax revenues, as well as a portion of bonds that are have interest rebates paid by the federal government. So these four ordinances before you direct the county to abate the portion of the debt service levy that is paid by alternate revenue sources and therefore should not be levied on the property tax levy. So this would grant first reading for the four ordinances abating those specific levies.
Questions?
I'll make a motion to grant first reading approval of the ordinances abating tax levies for various general obligation bond issues.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. The next item on our agenda is also going to be presented by Elizabeth Holub. It's consideration of an ordinance approving a fee schedule and ordinances adopting new fees related to parks and recreation and development activity. First reading.
This is a package of three ordinances for the City Council's consideration. They were related to the budget discussion in the earlier meeting. We actually didn't get to that discussion. In the past, the ordinance approving a fee schedule has typically approved a supplemental fee schedule. We're taking a different approach this year because what has happened is that because of the subsequent supplemental fee schedules, we've had to backtrack to see when a particular fee has most recently been amended. And so this year, what we're presenting to you is the full and complete fee schedule of the city. But what we've done is highlight the individual line items on the schedule, yellow for the fees that are recommended for adjustment, and we've highlighted in orange lines whereby an operating department has recommended a new fee for your consideration. Where there is a new fee proposed, you also have ordinances, one from Parks and Recreation and one from Community Development, enacting those new fees. You also have included in the package memos from Parks and Recreation, Development, as well as a memo from the state registrar related to vital records related to death certificates that all provide supporting documentation for adjustments and new fees proposed as part of this package. So we have representatives from each operating department to address any questions that you may have regarding the proposed adjustments and new fees.
Should we, I believe there is a page in the package from each department that identifies new fees. And perhaps it would be beneficial, since we weren't able to go through this in the Finance Committee, to just quickly run through those in the spirit of full disclosure.
Okay. We've got them in our packages though, so I just need to figure out what page. I know rec 36 to, is that, those are the schedule of new fees?
Those are the memoranda.
No. Okay, but that's a lot,
No, they
that's
start
too much
at 40.
detail. Yeah.
Yeah, and 44.
I think the first one I see is Recreation Department. That's page, where am I here?
69?
69 or 70? Let's see, what's this? Oh, development activity, sorry.
49 of your iPad will be the first one, building activity.
Really? Okay. Well,
New fees of
no,
recreation.
there are summaries that are more high level than this. Sorry.
Starting at 44, you got all the detail, right?
Yeah, the first one I think is on page 67.
Page 67
New
of the
fees to the
packet
Recreation
and page
Department?
70 of the packet are summarized the
Right.
two lists.
And rather than talk about them, maybe we should all look and see what they, once we find them, and then if there are any questions about any of them, we should ask, otherwise we should just keep moving. Is that okay?
I had a quick, just fundamental question, if I may. How are the changes, particularly the increases in fees, Mary, determined? I mean, the percentage changes are all over the board. You know, there are some that are 1%, there are some that are 22%. So is there a rationale, or did you look line item by line item and justify those? How did you come up with those percentage increases?
We look at market conditions. We look at whether or not our pricing has gotten off kilter by raising one rate for some reason a few years back, trying to get things in line. We look at where we want to grow revenue in order to meet our expense side of it. So it is a combination of some of those things. One of the issues that the Park Board identified a few years ago was really getting consistency across our senior fees, as an example, and having opportunities where our dynamics have changed. At the lakefront, as an example, we used to have a discount for seniors, but now they're the vast majority of the users of the compound, and so we no longer can meet our expense coverage down there because everything's so discounted. So it was trying to look at all of those things and get it in line for what the service areas need. So.
You beat me to the punch, because that was obviously where the increases were the greatest.
Right, and the Park Board had made a deliberate attempt starting last year to not make all the increases in one fell swoop, but do it over a 3-year period. So this is getting us caught up, and this is year 2 of that. So next year would be our final year of getting those prices in line with what we need to do for a 25% discount.
Okay. Any other questions on the Park and Rec additional fees? The next one is on page 70 of the packet. It's new fees related to development activity. Any questions or observations?
I don't see a fee in here for cell towers. No.
Verified.
And are there any other, those are the only two that I found, but are there others that I may have missed in my pack, in my,
No, those are the only two that have new fees.
okay.
For another reading approval?
So at this point, I would entertain a motion, hang on, I have to go back to the agenda here. Yeah, they didn't give me one of those. Here we go. So I would entertain a motion to approve the fee schedule and adopt the new fees as we just discussed related to Parks and Rec and development activities as a first reading.
And move to grant approval of first reading of the ordinances, approving the fee schedule increases.
This is for Parks and Rec.
Yes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the motion passes. Actually, I think that also, we should have included the new fees
And
for
development
development, yeah. So I'll resubmit the motion inclusive of the,
Why don't we consider that motion the
for Park and Rec?
first reading of the ordinance for the Park and Rec fees?
Okay,
And then we can also do the ordinance for the building or for the community development fees, and then we'll do the fee schedule
Increase.
in its entirety.
Okay.
Because that way we'll have the authorization of the work and then the fee schedule.
okay. I'd entertain a motion to approve the proposed new fees for development. First reading?
So moved.
So moved. Second, whatever.
Okay, all in favor?
Can't second as a
Third.
whole.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Motion carries, and the next motion I would entertain is a motion to approve the fee adjustments per the existing fee schedule.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, thank you. Okay, the next item on our list is consideration of ordinances providing for the refinancing of Special Service Area 25, 26, and 29 bonds. First reading.
This item came before the City Council in September. We reported that we had a proposal from Lake Forest Bank and Trust to reduce the interest rate across the board on the bonds outstanding for Special Service Area 25, 26, and 29 by 1.5% through the extended maturity of these bonds. At the time, the City Council authorized staff to go ahead and proceed with Bond Council to draft the ordinances. So we're just returning to City Council with the 6 ordinance required to affect these refinancings for all 3 of the special service areas. So these are the bond ordinances that would put that refinancing in effect and reduce the levies associated with those bonds for the bondholders. Again, this does not have any effect on the city because the savings are passed through to the individual homeowners in the special service areas. And then at the top of page 6 in your packet is just the final net interest savings on each of the special service area refinancing. So special service area 25, $47,672. Special service area 26, which is a very small special service area, is $12,960. And special service area 29, $115,142. So this recommendation is to grant first reading of the 6 ordinances providing for the refinancing of those 3 special service areas.
And just making sure that costs associated with the benefit received by the specific property owners they're going to bear the cost. It's not the city as a whole.
They are, thank you. This is net of the refinancing costs. So the gross interest savings have been netted out against the bond council costs and any other costs associated with the refinancing.
And the newly established rate after the 1.5% discount?
It varies through the maturities. So depending on it's got a staggered interest rate through the maturity schedule. So it was a straight 1.5% reduction throughout the term. So it's a lower interest rate in the earlier maturities, and it's got a staggered interest rate in the later maturities. So it varies
Bonds weren't all
is the
issued
answer.
at the same time.
Right.
So, and I think it's appropriate to point out that this is another example of our city finance staff being on the ball and seeing an opportunity with absolutely no particular benefit to the city, but recognizing an opportunity to save these homeowners a significant amount of money. And could very easily have just gone on our merry way and never really done anything, but you know, these opportunities exist to refinance things at good, at better rates, and you know, I think Elizabeth and her staff are to be congratulated for finding these opportunities repeatedly and saving money both for the city, as we heard a little earlier, and then for individual homeowners as well. So,
Thank you.
So I would recommend, or I would entertain a motion to grant first reading of the ordinances providing for the refinancing of special service area 25, 26, and 29 special tax bonds.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Motion carries. Thank you, Elizabeth. I'm finished.
Thank you, Alderman Pandaleon, and thank you, Elizabeth. Our next item on the agenda this evening is Public Works Committee report. Alderman Novit.
And we don't have quite as much as the Finance Committee, which Bears game tonight, that could be a good thing. But we just have one item, and that would be for the public bid process, or waiving the public bid process and award of a bid for the Telegraph Depot and Telegraph Fire Station roof replacement project. And that would be included in the financial year 2013 TIF budget, which will probably be the last item that we'll ever get from that TIF budget. But Dan, if you want to mention anything on it.
Actually, no. That pretty much covers it. We'll be requesting to take the funds that are remaining to roof the Telegraph Depot and the Telegraph Fire Station, using the remaining TIF funds as mentioned. And due to the TIF time constraints, the project has going to be completed by the end of this calendar year, 2012. So staff basically invited 5 roofing contractors to bid on the roof replacement projects that we used in 2011. And on November 14th, we received those bids, and we're recommending Cedar Roofing be awarded the Telegraph Depot, and All-American Roofing be awarded the Telegraph Fire Station roof replacement. Both companies have done work within the city on the facilities. Cedar Roofing has done Northcraft and South Park, both of those, and several others. And All-American Exterior did the East Train Station slate roofing and also the North Beach House. So very qualified, very happy with their work and their past work in the city of Lake Forest. So.
And these are items that were coming up for maintenance regardless.
Absolutely. Both of these came out of the general CIP fund. We were planning on doing, scheduled to have Telegraph done next year, and then the year after was Telegraph Fire. So.
And Dan, just to clarify, even though we are technically waiving the public bidding process, we have gotten bids on this work.
I invited 5 bidders. We've received 4. And yes, it was very competitive. They were very much into the what we would consider the estimated amounts from the roofing engineer. So, yes.
What is it that we failed to do in the public bid process?
We did not advertise the bids in the paper, and do a public bid opening 10 to 30 days after. Okay. And that was based on the time constraint of having to get the job going and completed by the end of the year.
Anybody missing from the normal list of bidders?
One declined.
Even from the normal list, other than what's written down here? Anybody that,
These were the same 5 that bid
Okay.
during the last year's roofing projects that we got favorable bids for all of the roofs on Everett and South Park.
And do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Is there a
Aye.
roll call vote, please?
Roll call.
Alderman Novit.
Aye.
Alderman Waldeck. Alderman Pandaleon.
Aye.
Alderman Moore.
aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Alderman Palmer.
Aye.
7 yeas, no nays, motion carries.
Thank you, Bertie, and thank you, Alderman Novit. That concludes the Public Works Committee. Our next item from council members, although not listed on your agenda, is Alderman Moore, who would like to make a brief comment about Croya.
Just a couple of updates. In a meeting with Todd over there, I guess 4 announcements. 80 high school students attended Croya's fall retreat this weekend in Makwanagor, Wisconsin. Students attended from Lake Forest High School, Lake Forest Academy, and Woodlands Academy. They had discussions of teenage life and problem resolution, and the topic was "You're Not Alone," because obviously kids get overwhelmed, and a good program put on by Croya with 80 students spending the weekend. At the beginning of November, Croya and the Lake Forest and Lake Bluff Police Departments held the 15th annual Donut Bowl flag football game. Over 100 students and police played football and participated in a discussion to break down the stereotypes between teenagers and police officers, and it was quite a success. The Croya's annual poinsettia sale fundraiser was a big success with over $9,000 worth of poinsettias sold. And pickup dates are Friday, November 30th and Saturday, December 1st from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Croya facility, and that's a lot of poinsettias. This goes to fund the Croya Foundation, which helps with programs and the facility. The Croya and Lake Forest High School have teamed up to bring a new and improved peer training class to the high school students. There are 6 classes being co-taught by Croya and Lake Forest High School staff, and there will be 2 more classes this semester. These focus on active listening, problem solving, and what to do when you see a friend that needs help, and it's more than the teen listening is able to handle. So it's action steps when it feels like it's out of your control. So I just like to commend Croya and Todd. This is a lot of good initiative, and I've been at a few of these meetings, and it's just it just really feels good to see the kids get helped as much as they are. There's a lot of good happening there.
David, my daughter was one of those 80 students who went this weekend and came home very tired, but she just said it was a great experience and she had a great time. So, as always, it's always a great retreat, and they did a great job this year. They even had a method to stream in the football game.
Oh.
So the kids
Unfortunately.
were able to watch the game.
Thank you, Alderman Moore. Any other comments by council members? Now we'll move on to the next item on the agenda, which is an opportunity for citizens to address the city council on non-agenda items. Anyone here from the public this evening? Hearing none, we'll move on to the next item, which is items for the omnibus vote consideration. There are 4 items. I will read each one of them for the record, and then you may choose to pick one or all as you so desire. The first being a consideration of an ordinance amending ordinance number 11-14, establishing the Lake Forest Special Service Area 39, which is the Monticello Circle Sanitary Sewer System. This is a first reading, and if desired by the City Council, final approval. The next item is a request City Council authorization to ratify the City of Lake Forest Emergency Operations Plan. The third item is a consideration of a recommendation to enter into a contract with Mood Media Music for the installation of a new audiovisual system and the purchase of a new podium for the City Hall Council Chambers. And the fourth item is approval of the November 5, 2012 regular City Council minutes.
We were going to amend number 3
Yeah.
on the size of the monitors.
Okay. Duly noted, I think we
Changing
went from
from
17 to 15 inches, if I recall.
Yeah, the 17 is an easy read, but it's a little too much.
All right, so that should reduce our costs somewhat, although we don't know exactly, but that's noted for the record. I think we can still vote on it, because it's going to be less than what we're asking for here. Any other comments or questions on these 4 items? If not, I'd entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Alderman Novit.
Aye.
Alderman Waldeck.
Aye.
Alderman Pandaleon.
Aye.
Alderman Moore.
Aye.
Alderman Schoenheider.
Aye.
Alderman Tack.
Aye.
Alderman Palmer.
Aye.
7 yeas, no nays, motion carries.
Thank you, Bertie. Our next item on the agenda this evening is new business. We have one, which is the consideration of a resolution affirming the prior approval of the White Stable Vineyard Plan Preservation Subdivision and the associated special use permit. I would like to make a comment that Alderman Adelman is not here this evening. He did express to me some issues regarding this request. I do understand, though, that he had conversations with Kathy Cerniak, Director of Community Development, later, and when the final language came out, he felt satisfied with that language. So Kathy is available. Should we have any questions or comments in this regard?
I'd like to just recuse myself from this conversation. My company, an affiliate of my company, is at least exploring involvement in this project.
Okay. Noted for the record. Any other questions or comments?
Why is it necessary for us to affirm a resolution we previously passed?
Kathy, do you want to just comment on the background of how this came about real quick?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. From time to time, developments do not proceed within the anticipated time frame. This is one of those. In the past, the council has been supportive of allowing adjustments to time frame. In this case, this request comes before you at the request of the developer, or actually more accurately, at the request of potential investors who now seem poised to work together to move this project forward. The potential investors recognize that the city's action was taken in June 2010, and they have simply asked for an affirmation that the council has not since taken any action to rescind those approvals. What is before you tonight does not request any changes from those approvals. That occurred in June 2010 after about a 9-month study period during public hearings. So this is simply before you to provide reassurance to potential investors that nothing has changed, that the prior approvals stand.
Has there been any material change in the surrounding circumstances?
No material change in the in the property, in the surrounding neighborhood, nor is anything changed with respect to the proposed development.
What about zoning or building codes or anything that we approved that we would not?
Nothing has changed since 2010 when this was granted final approval.
Kathy, would you comment simply that the resolution stating the 6-month time period as well?
Yes, to put some parameters around this, in working with the city attorney, you do have a resolution before you. That resolution states that the prior approvals are effective through June 30th, 2013, and the council will take no action to rescind those approvals prior to that date. So there is a time period established.
Okay. Any other questions?
They were asking for an SSA, right? That was a, didn't they originally come with an SSA and then decide not to?
Yes, there was originally.
How was it approved?
There was originally some discussion of a special service district being created for public improvements. That was never approved. Okay. That was never brought forward. That is not being proposed now. It was approved by an ordinance which established a special use permit authorizing a planned preservation subdivision of 34 lots on approximately 47.5 acres.
Any other questions or comments for Kathy? If not, I'd entertain a motion for approval.
Go ahead.
I'd like to make the motion to approve the resolution affirming the validity of prior approvals granted by the City Council for the White Stable Vineyard Plan Preservation Subdivision.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Our next item on the agenda this evening is any additional items for council discussion? No, we'll move on. We are going to go into adjourn now into an executive session pursuant to Section 5 of the Open Meetings Act, and then we will close the meeting after the executive
Do
session.
we have to state the purpose that we were going?
We do need to make a motion to enter into executive session under sections 122C, 4, 2C5, 2C6, and 2C11.
Which are?
Which are one is purchase of property, one is disposition of property, one is disposition or deliberation on hearings, and one is pending or threatened litigation.
So moved.
And there'd be we need a motion, a second, and a roll call vote.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Roll call vote.
Roll call vote, please.
Alderman Novit.
Aye.
Alderman Waldeck.
Aye.
Alderman Pandaleon.
Aye.
Alderman Moore.
Aye.
Alderman Schoenheider.
Aye.
Alderman Tack. Alderman Palmer.
Aye.
7 yeas, no nays, motion carries.
Thank you, Bertie. We will now adjourn into executive session. Thank you.
Going here?
The cookie's still there? Yeah.